right. Anyway, we'll get right to it then. Let me figure out. Let's see where I got picks and bans here. All right. So we're starting off with Yglini and AndiVx or AndiVx. I'm not sure.
I'm gonna just call him Andy.
Andy works. Yes. Andy sounds good. All right. So this is a copper match, I believe.
Indeed.
And Taboshi, harder to say, Yglini or Iterbijum from a couple weeks ago?
Oh, Iterbijum.
You think so? I think I agree.
I think I might just be used to Yglini. But
yeah, that's true. Good point.
All right. Anyway, the first ban out of Andy. No aquarium right now, apparently.
I mean, I feel like the second you started adding the shark to all these overlays, that's when people started banning it left and right.
Yeah.
It's your fault. I'm sure of it.
Well, I mean, the hat doesn't help, right? I mean,
the hat absolutely helps.
Well, I mean, it hurts the sniper a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah, more occlusion from the top hat. That's a good point.
Yeah, they don't like that. Anyway, the next venue banned this time from Yglini, Veranda. Nope.
I don't think they had to ban that because both players ban it a lot, actually.
maybe that's just a standard ban.
Just playing it safe. Safe.
Anyway, the next the restriction from Andy shall be modern. And then the next one shall be pub.
All right.
Okay, and then picks. Bit of a fan of this first one from Andy Gallery. Then followed up by Ballroom from the Yglini.
Yeah, some strange stuff here because Andy kind of likes modern a little bit. So this is more of a relative thing. You're seeing some examples of people changing it from season to season.
And then the second pick from Andy, Terrace. Not a venue you see all that often.
No.
And then modern. Yglini indeed picks the restricted venue.
You say we don't see Terrace all that often. I would say seeing it is the best thing about it. It is lovely, but for actual play with top snipers, you get a lot of splits.
Yep, that is true. We'll see what happens when we get there. Maybe that's what that could be what Andy is counting on.
That's an excellent point. Sometimes if you like the map picks on the doubles, for example, and you're expecting to come out of those first 8 games with a lead, you want the boring split venues later in the match.
We'll see if we get there. And I'm seeing Wheels just sort of hanging out here with the laser already on him. Maybe an insta shot will come off.
It's a good sign.
Well, I mean, if this was less from a spy, I would be willing to believe an instant shot would come off on Wheels. But yeah, anybody else probably not.
It is in fact going to be Andy starting things off on the spy side of things. Yglini on the sniper for our first match of the night in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And what you want to keep an eye out for tonight are the snipers on either side. Both snipers have struggled in their previous season and a little bit this season, and specifically, they both have very high civ shot rates. So the more disciplined sniper is likely the one that's going to win tonight.
Ooh, that was not a really good redirect coming out of the statue there.
No.
It doesn't look like it was seen, though.
Now, Andy tends to prefer bug and microfilm as their extra missions here on Gallery.
Starting things in the back conversation, it's not a good flirt. In fact, it is the worst flirt physically possible at 17%. This is a big conversation back here.
Yeah, not just that. You'd say in a lot of venues that wouldn't be a big problem, but on Gallery it absolutely is because you cannot take seduction for granted here on Gallery.
It's not an easy mission to get done. A little bit of a slip over to the painting and back in again to a more acceptable position. Not going to do much to deplete the seduction cooldown, but is going to get us our next flirt faster. Hopefully we can find a green test on here. Yes, we can. It's 65%.
Still a really rough percentage to be at, though, because you're going to need another one when all this is said and done, even if that seduction target doesn't move, and we know how often they choose to.
It's a shame. 1% too low to be able to count on the green on the white flirt. But back into the green bookcase from there, stepping back into the conversation after the fact, picks up the bug on the way in, completely invisible, and a beautiful little play coming out of Andy.
Yep, that's what we were talking about, that bug, and it's basically just something you have to credit there at the back of gallery with that character set a little lower than the rest. Pretty well done.
You give Smallman a lot of grief for being able to tuck in back there and you can't really tell what he's doing, but Wheels can do that on this map where it's people don't get particularly worried about him because he's not Smallman. Oh god, that's not a pad. Everything's fine.
No, and it's very noticeable with Wheels in particular. And yeah, Wheels is sort of a discount Smallman in some ways, certainly with the bug, but actually underrated for the Purloin too, because it can be not visible that he's being offered to without the crouch from Toby that you get with Smallman. He still gets offered to at the same height from Toby. So Purloin in the back can be very powerful as well.
And he seems a little bit unhappy with how this spy game is going so far, although it's going okay for him. He's a little bit low on time, minute and 15 seconds left to play, and we still need a green flirt. We still need a contact. We still need to put this book away. But the book should be going away now. We'll have a little under a minute when we come out of the pad.
And you need this double agent to get back in, too.
Yeah, hopefully the double agent cooperates. That's a big one. Leaves very early and safety is off. I don't think Andy's going to get away with this. Not dead yet, interestingly enough, but it won't be long. Does get a flirt off at the statue, but the shot comes off. And Yglini picks up game number 1 from the sniper side.
It's an interesting question whether or not the bug was suspected. They might have just caught them for the microfilm. That might be it. You know, obviously Andy hung onto that book for a minute or so, maybe a little longer. That's not really long enough. Yeah, especially when you hang on to it staying around the back like that without moving around. I think, though, that pad might have had a lot to do with it.
Never cleaned the book off.
Yeah, it might have been just a fast leave from the bookshelf.
Yeah, after they dumped it, they got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah.
Either way, Yglini up by 1, stepping into the spy side of things. Let's see how Andy's sniper plays out. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And if you're Andy and you've been studying Yglini at all on gallery, Purloin is the mission you most want to dedicate your mental resources to.
Gets a really nice 51% green flirt at the painting to start the game off. That could be really big for Yglini moving forward.
Yeah, that's very nice on gallery. It really opens the game up a lot when you get that flirt done early, or at least get enough progress that you have more options late.
Smallman is not in the position where he can hide behind everybody in the conversation. You can almost lowlight him for that. Banana bread comes off, so that's 1 mission completion. And the Purloin immediately after, as Andy is busy lowlighting out front.
And the question is, do they suspect it? Do they suspect it? That's an aggressive lowlight, by the way.
I don't think he saw it gone until Smallman took the drink.
And that's not who you want there. That Civ, that particular Civ being maybe one of the people you suspect. There comes the highlight too, and oh boy. Oh boy. Yglini could not have asked for a better result after the Purloin, at least.
Absolutely. This has been going, everything's been going great for him. This is falling apart for Andy very, very fast.
Did take a drink outside, by the way. AIs do not like to do that. They can do it, but it's only a small percentage chance that an AI will take a drink outside because, in the SpyParty world at least, that violates local ordinances to have drinks outside.
I mean, yeah, but also Andy was zoomed in and couldn't see it.
That helps. That helps. It's not against the law if they don't notice, right?
Exactly. Yglini coming in for the second flirt. It's another green. It's a 2 flirt. Everything's going right for Yglini this game. Still has 2 minutes to play and 1 mission to get.
That's absolutely massive. Yglini's green rate last season was only about 1 in 3, so to 2 flirt on gallery is huge.
Yglini's stepping out front. Might be able to get the walking bug, goes for it, but the ambassador bounces off Leopard, unfortunately. It would have been a beautiful bug. Another attempt as the ambassador comes around the back. Doesn't take either. That's 2 bug attempts back to back. Neither of them hit.
Yeah, and the first one not even on screen because, again, Andy is zoomed in and seems really focused here on this statue visitor here, Orange Sorry.
Speaking of statue visitors, the swap comes off, but it doesn't matter. So does the shot. It's not the correct one, and Yglini goes up 2-0.
I mentioned it's going to be about which sniper's more disciplined and which shoots fewer civs, and in this case, just missing that purloin, being too late on it, taking those lowlights for a fake, which were correct, by the way, but still an aggressive choice. The funny thing is, usually, when you take lowlights for assuming real, the way it costs you, the risks you're taking, is that it's just a fake, right? In this case, it cost them because they were taking so many lowlights that they missed the purloin instead. Very counterintuitive, hurt them in the way it normally doesn't, but that was definitely what did it, because it's hard not to be paranoid when you miss the purloin like that.
Absolutely. It was very good that he was aware that he missed it. He reacted to that probably as well as he could have. But at that point, it just wasn't enough. Andy down by 2, stepping back into the spy side of things on gallery in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Seduction target starting things off at statues is not what you like to see. The bug coming across through the back is almost what you like to see, but Taft just a little bit too fast to try to get those late starts on the walking bug to hide the arm behind the ambassador.
Yeah, you gotta drag your feet a little more than that there, big guy.
Now in conversation next to the seduction target in a good spot. White test flirt brings us to 34%. Blue book in hand as well.
Animation broken leaving that conversation, but it really looks like Yglini is dedicating most of their attention to this ambassador.
I mean, fair enough.
Fair enough indeed. And again, as I mentioned, Andy likes to bug on gallery and certainly did it last time, so I can't really argue with the logic.
Back into conversation with the seduction target we go. It'd be nice to be able to hit a green flirt on the second one, if just to buy ourselves a little bit of room for the last one. We're not able to do so. It's another white test. 67% is where the counter lands. And I suspect this book will be going into the green case sooner rather than later.
You read my mind. They've been hanging on to it long enough that unless they're fishing for some kind of low light or just changing their mind about the original plan, it kind of has to go in green. By the way, the ambassador has left fingerprints on each of those back 2 statues too. Wonder if the spy has noticed.
I think Andy wanted one, forgot he had a book in hand. Back to the green bookcase we go. No reaction from Yglini. That's the transfer done. And the ambassador at yet another statue.
Yeah, one of those prints smudged now by a cast member, however, in a white dress. But still, yeah, the ambassador putting their hands all over everything. If Yglini's counting these prints at all, you gotta wonder if a civ's gonna get shot.
Back into conversation with the seduction target again. Gets that mission squared away. Minute and 40 seconds left on the clock as we pick up a briefcase with no print on it.
That's unfortunate because a print there would actually really open up the game for them. By the way, Kane, I think, taking another one of those prints, that 3 now, that Falcon statue, I think might be the only one with an unsmudged print still.
But the bug coming around the back after the return, that's a huge play from Andy. Finds the open fingerprint
There's the statue.
as well.
They remember which one it is. That's the only unsmudged print left.
Inspect. Inspect. Doesn't take the print.
Wow.
Statue to statue we go.
I guess, yeah, straightforward. Fair enough.
It's just the inspects. No!
What?
No!
What?
It's the misclick!
Why?
He accidentally swapped it! 5 seconds, Yglini, he's staring right at
Is there
us,
any
but
reaction?
He doesn't
No!
He
Wow.
wasn't willing to take a shot, didn't get a good look at the fade, I guess.
Wow.
What happened?
I don't know. I don't know what happened on the spy or sniper side there. I feel like both of them were trying to lose that at the end almost. Oh my goodness. Oh. And you know what's funny about that too? Andy got that bug off, basically completely off screen, because a highlight Kane was at the front statue. They were guarding against the swap, right? Because it was about a minute something left. So it was possible someone was finishing. They were guarding against the swap. And now, just a little later even, against someone who's, also highlit, The swap's not being guarded.
Oh man. Oh man, I wish I knew what was going through the heads of those two guys at the end of that game, but it doesn't matter in the end. Andy is on the board as Yglini steps back into the spy side for our last game of gallery. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
I was giving the spy credit for going to that statue that had the unsmudged print, but it's actually the opposite, right? Because if they're not watching, they went to the one statue most likely to garner more suspicion then.
That is true. An early green purloin coming out of Yglini from the painting. That could be huge.
Highlight already, though. Look at this.
That is true.
I think they're onto them. So Andy bugged both games. Yglini got away with a purloin the first time, is now trying to do it again. Both players just running it back.
Not able to get the flirt at the front statue. Purloin
Another
still
highlight.
hasn't been taken.
It's a highlight for a reject from Walt. So they are highlighting, I think, rejectors. There's the purloin.
Purloin comes off. List is gone.
I think they might have this narrowed down, but I think it's 3 at best, though, is the problem. 3 or 4 at best.
Everyone getting low lit. It's just a huge cascade. Only able to get one inspect here as Yglini steps into statues. That's fine. We can get the second inspect later on if we'd survive that long.
Oh, that
but
leopard
there's
highlight.
Still low lights coming off.
Not just that, but that leopard highlight's so bad for Andy because it shows that it's not that narrowed down. They stopped the lowlights well before the actual rejectors and even added one in leopard, which means they are not at all certain about who could have rejected.
5 highlights, 2 neutral lights. Little over half of the party gone in exchange for a purloin. I think that's not winning, but it's a decent situation as a bug attempt comes through but doesn't take.
Toby and the low-lit Kane at the statue in front running interference on that bug, so it's not really seen. But yeah, here's the big question. Obviously, this is not many suspects left, but if any of them finish inspects or something or take a bug path, boy, that might be enough.
It might be, but if Yglini does it as well, this game is far from over. The hard tell is done, but at great cost. We might be more or less even.
Yeah, we might be. And remember, Civ shot last time. If you're Yglini, you're thinking, you know what? I'm just going to do this purloin and sit back and dare the sniper to hold their shot.
Looks like Yglini's doing exactly that. Really just playing it cool. Being as AI-like as possible. Grabbed an innocent drink, is doing some pad to pad on the paintings to try to lose suspicion, just avoiding any sort of mission site. Now the contact coming off.
And the red.
That's going to leave it down to 3, I believe, assuming real.
It knocks out Walt, and Buns there was at a conversation, even a very full one, with no SDA. So Smallman, Leopard, and Queen are the only ones who are in for the purloin in the sniper's mind and have a reel if they noticed.
Into statues we go for the last 2 inspects.
Big moment
Difficult fingerprint on the statue as well. I don't think we're going to bother taking it. The swap comes off. The shot is lined up. Safety is off. The shot comes off. And Andy manages to bring it back even.
Boy, I don't know if I would normally advise highlighting drink rejectors in the beginning of a gallery game, but they picked exactly the right game to do it. It helped keep the party under control, even with the multiple rejects, even not seeing the fade, whittled it down enough that they were able to focus on who was left. And I think, yeah, deciding to finish there may be necessary, but was always going to be difficult for Yglini.
What a game. It's 2-2. Going into Ballroom. Ballroom is a very interesting venue. There is a lot of very unreliable cover. There's nothing really stopping the snipers view of the party except for the conversations and the other party members. So you need to really be able to improvise as the spy. Let's see how Andy plays it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, unreliable cover is a good way to think of it because there's a lot of things that can block occlusion, those pillars, even the window panes a little bit, but it's fluid and it changes all the time and you never know what the sniper's angle is. I kind of think of it like little baby redwoods in a way.
And immediately Andy picks up a book and a bug on the way through the back. The pathing wasn't great. There was a little bit of a cut in there, and Yglini knows it. The highlight is on.
Yep, that's really significant. Without the highlight, you would say the spy is in a commanding position. With it, you'd say just the opposite.
It's hard to know just how much stock Yglini's putting into this, though.
Yep.
The first flirt comes off, it's a white test for 20%, and you have to imagine that Andy's at least a little bit behind.
Yeah, and if they felt that highlight, they might want to consider putting this book back. If you're a suspect for the bug, but they're not sure they saw it, you're still okay. But at that point, the odds that you're going to get away with the book as well, much, much lower. So this is where you need to read the laser movement a little bit as spy and feel whether you've been highlit or not. You have to have a sense of how much of a suspect you are for the bug. That's the only way you can make the right decision next with what you do with this book.
These little window-to-window moves tell me that Andy's trying to lose heat at least a little bit.
Yeah, put some seconds between that book grab and the book dump. But I really think this book needs to go back, and I think if they put it back, they have a much better chance of winning than if they actually try to dump it in blue.
I agree. Let's see if Andy does, though, as he picks up the second flirt, again at a distance. 41% is where it lands, so it is going to be at least a 4 flirt.
That's really rough, too, because now, even if you dump the book, you could be cutting it a little bit close. And again, I just don't think we can get away with it.
Oh, he's posturing towards the blue side, though. Oh, the seduction target steps in, might be giving us a huge gift, but the cooldown hasn't expired yet. There's the cooldown. Are we able to get it off? It's a green test. He does hang around long enough. That brings up to 92%. That could be huge moving forward, but the time is very, very much against us. Andy is still holding on to the book he got at the start of the game. There's only 1:15 left. Now he goes into the blue bookcase. Does Yglini take the shot? He's not!
Not yet, but if they're disciplined, they can wait a few more seconds. Just in
There's
case.
the shot that comes off. Sees the book go away. Nothing happening in the rest of the party. The shot comes off. And Yglini is back on the board. It's 3-2.
I think they've been listening to us, Tobo. We say so often that as hard as this is in the moment, ideally, if you were all perfect little sniping robots, when you suspected someone's finishing a mission like that, be it inspects or a book dump or anything like that, right? You would wait rather than shoot as soon as they approach because something might happen. You might see something else that changes your mind. Might as well wait a few more seconds until you're sure you have to shoot, right? We say that over and over. We've been saying it for years. And more, I feel like we're seeing this even from intermediate or newer snipers. We're seeing that discipline where they say, I'm almost sure this is it. But you know what? I got 5 or 6 seconds from when that book goes in before I even have to think about it. So that's what I'm going to do. So it looked for a second like Yglini was not onto it, but they were really just being the kind of disciplined sniper that we're always saying people should be.
It's the correct play for sure, but it still stresses me out. Yglini on the spy side, Andy on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And just like Gallery, Yglini loves them some purloin, and it's pretty powerful in Ballroom, so why not?
Opening things up with 2 at a small painting, picking up this first flirt for 34%. Not a bad start. Very slow character is Orange, sorry. So Yglini is going to have to make sure he's on top of the timer. Stepping into conversation with the seduction target once more. Well, for the first time this game, I suppose. Reasonably good positioning as well. The double agent joins us. Green test on the flirt for 83% now.
It's a crucial number to hit, too, because as you were saying earlier, 17% the lowest successful flirt you can get, so any successful flirt now will do it.
I suspect that attempted bug was not intentional, maybe just some action priorities weirdness, but it was not something that's going to get seen, and the contact comes off as well. lets off but a single low light, though it is Smallman.
It is worth 2 or 3, let's say, at least. The real more significant thing is that the SDA Queen was at blue bookshelves. Only 6 people have a reel.
That is very true. One of these people got highlight, but the others did not, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with Yglini here. Flirtation cooldown expires. Flirt comes off. Mission is done. That's 2 out of 4.
Duke was not only talking during the banana bread, but talked right afterwards. That's what I think the highlight is for.
Yeah, I absolutely think you're correct.
This is something you actually see at the highest levels and at intermediate levels, is a lot of attention paid to who's talking during the banana bread.
Minute and 30 left on the clock. It's unclear what the next 2 missions are going to be for Yglini. Steps back into paintings to take a moment to collect his bearings before stepping in to the green bookcase.
Well, statistically, it's usually Purloin and Bug, but unless there's a print here,
There
I'm not
is,
sure why else we'd
in
be.
fact, a print here.
They have not completed print in any of their ballroom games as Spy so far, but I think they might have a chance here because the Amba just left statues as well.
That is very true. Definitely eyeing up the ambassador as much as possible because we are going to have to find probably a bug at this point with only 40 seconds left to play.
Got a bug on our way to a print. That's a tall order because the Amba's not in a very buggable position. There's only 30 seconds left.
Might have to take the print first and go for the bug on the way back. It looks like that's what Yglini's doing.
It's going to be close.
Heading towards that center statues. Time is running out. No! Gets
See?
beat to the punch. Are you kidding me?
We're going to have to swap again or something. Oh, no.
It is a swap. This is the only chance.
Double take with the sniper.
Yep. And he's like, wait a second.
What?
That's not what that statue is.
Wow. I think that was a
such
pretty good
shame.
plan. It was a pretty good plan, but seek running interference. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that one hurts just a little bit.
But they did leave it till late. They started fingerprint with just a little over a minute left on the clock. That's part of it, right? You leave yourself vulnerable. If you get just a little bit of bad AI luck by trying to do a lot of missions late in the game, that's all it takes. So it's a very calculated risk. On the other hand, you're not much of a suspect heading into the late game. So that's the risk reward you're going for.
We are all tied up at 3 as Andy steps back into the spy's shoes. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And in this case, with one of the twins, those spy shoes are saddle shoes, as a matter of fact. That's what those are called, and they're pretty fancy, ain't they?
Starting the game right next to the ambassador, we might be looking for this print.
Did you learn that when you were shopping for your cosplay?
I did. I needed to know what to Google.
Does indeed get the print out of it. Ambassador steps far enough away that we can make that play. I like the follow at the end of this. Not many spies are willing to do that. Stepping into conversation next to the seduction target. Very slight distance. It's a white test for 32%. And a contact off of the back of it. Lots of people in conversations. 3 lowlights taken. I think there was one more available but didn't get picked up. Innocent drink take, and I think at this point we're just waiting for the seduction cooldown to happen, which is a little bit worrying because on 32% on the first one, we're going to need to hit a green on one of the next 2 if we're at this distance.
Most noticeable thing from the sniper side on that banana bread is that Yglini prioritized lowlights over noticing who did or didn't have a reel, and that's significant because General got an early statue highlight for center and was talking during it, but had no SDA in with them. So Yglini just taking the sure things, taking the 3 lowlights. I think probably the right decision here, though.
It's another white flirt, brings us to 64%, so we're going to have to hit a green on the next one if we're going to 3 flirt this. Contact is done. 1 fingerprint in pocket. How much attention have we been paying to where the ambassador has been going?
It's a good question. I think you need to finish that mission. That's your route here. And with 90 seconds left, you got to get moving.
Well, Andy looks like he's posturing to maybe pick up a reverse drive-by off the Ambassador, but the Ambassador goes the other way.
Maybe in range for that briefcase was the idea, but it looks like Teal's going to beat us to it.
It does indeed, although we do have the book going away in blue, but someone beat us to that as well.
Uh-oh, our options falling apart here, but this book's about to go back into green, and we're right next to it. We're going to bug in the way in!
The bug on the way in is not enough! Yglini on top of it, a beautiful little move, but it was in fact seen.
It's a pretty good bug. I mean, I don't think it's that
It
visible.
was.
Yglini was all over that, and that was going to be the game too, because otherwise it's that print in any flirt, and it's a win.
I legitimately don't know how he saw that bug.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe just already a suspect a bit, and just who would take that path, that kind of thing, right? Because it's not just a bug path, it's a bug path into a print, and if they're suspected for the first print at all, that's just one coincidence too many, maybe. It was also a weirdly short window stay, I thought, at the time.
That is true. That might have been all it took. As Yglini up by 1 going into the last game of Ballroom in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Both spies making plans based around fingerprint that don't quite work out a little late in the game. It can be really powerful when it does line up. It's hard to shoot for a sniper, but so many things have to go right for a clean fingerprint game to come off.
First flirt has been taken. Nice close white test for 34%. In conversation with the double agent as well, but there's not nearly enough other people in big conversations or in ours, so no contact gets taken.
But when we're close enough to 3 flirt like this, we're going to wait for the timer, it looks like, and just try to get one more. Seek picks up a highlight. That's very interesting.
And it does indeed look like it's going to be a timer flirt. So a bit of a slow start from Yglini, but getting the progress on the seduction is always nice to see, especially this early in the game because you're not taking any suspicion for it. 68% after the pair of flirts, both white. And 2 minutes and 15 left to play.
And in the meantime, with the timer flirt, you can at least look around the party, see who the early highlights are, see who's pathing weird, see who's walking by the ambush, stuff like that, picking up fingerprints. So you don't have to just idle. The spy is technically idling, but hopefully their camera isn't.
Back into conversation with the double agent. Contact comes off, but the double agent bails at the last possible second. Disaster strikes for Yglini.
Unless they assume real or something and get low-lit for this, yeah, but it doesn't look like they are. They're just prioritizing those low-lights, and there are 5 of them, including an early highlight and including Smallman. That is rough.
Absolute disaster. We were a little bit behind the time curve already, and now with only 1 minute and 30 left, all we have is those 2 flirts. We're going to need to do something a little bit desperate here, and the bug might be it. It's not. We take a very wide path. Look how much we're not bugging right now, Andy.
I mean, from the top-down view, it didn't look that bad, but honestly, from sniper view, it still looked like it could kind of be a bug. It was not a wide enough path because the sniper was not zoomed in.
What? How do we win this now? It has to be a time ad, right?
I suppose so. You got to frame somebody. I think I mentioned sieve shots. That's the way to go here.
White test on the time ad. Into the green. No, I thought we were going to go for the flirt, but we're not.
And suddenly, this ambassador is not being protected very much, it feels like. The ambassador and certain characters near them are occasionally behind the pillar here. Yglini can't know that. I think the time ad is sort of the right idea, though. I think you want to extend this game and test this sniper's patience.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. Just trying to drag the game out and make Andy take a shot because Yglini has no intention of finishing missions. Into center statue, though, so that's an unusual decision considering. The swap comes off. That's an unusual decision considering.
Check out Wheels.
Test.
Wheels is picking up Prince and getting flashed on here.
The animation cut putting down the statue.
Doesn't matter.
The
Heels is
highlight comes off. I think we might have a new top suspect. That could be disaster. It looked like Wheels. No! The contact
no!
comes off. Wheels gets the low lights.
That's huge. The only person I think might have gotten shot.
There's a swap pending and a purloin pending at the same time. The swap comes off. 20 seconds left. There's the flirt getting finished. The purloin has come off. It's all happened at the 11th hour. There's 3 seconds left. Andy isn't reacting. What just happened at the end of this game?
Everything happened at the end of this game, and that low light picking up the swap is why it isn't seen. When a low light picks up a green swap, it can be great or it can be terrible. It can be great because you know it's not them already if you're confident in your low lights, but it can be terrible because you don't bother to look when they approach. Maybe just so excited to knock out their top suspect in Wheels that they don't notice the 3 missions finishing in a 20-second time period. Insane.
Oh my god, I can't believe it. Here's the thing. Wheels goes to that statue to swap it. The contact comes off, which eliminates Wheels right before he swaps the statue.
Oh, goodness.
I'm going to point out 3-up books at the end if you shot for just that.
Wouldn't it be funny to miss the swap and the purloin and then shoot for 3 at books instead? That would really be something. I overshot it with the 20 seconds. Technically, the actual green swap, the purloin, and the seduce all happened in 5.2.
What a finish.
That's not how you draw it up. That's not how you plan it. That's just what happens sometimes.
I can't believe what I just saw. That puts Yglini up 5-3 as Andy steps into the spy side of Terrace in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Oh, and how do you answer something like that? You know, you just got to gather yourself. And if you're Andy, purloin is usually your mission here. By the way, swap is the only mission turned off. That's pretty standard for Terrace 3-6 this season.
Pair of inspects to open the game, then steps into conversation with the seduction target. Not being super impolite, at least waiting for his turn to talk. It's 34% on the first flirt.
And not doing statue highlights. I thought maybe we were with the twin getting a highlight, but then they switched which twin was highlight for some reason. They already had one highlight, just, you know, differentiate them, and then they just switched. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
That works for me. Andy steps into the statues to pick up the second. That's a red test inspect, though.
I mean, I guess it's okay.
Yep. We only had one left to grab, so it's fine. Seduction target runs away from us, so that's unfortunate. But we still have the double agent here. Still have the contact on tap. Everyone in conversation right now. Now's the time.
Oh, here comes Kane, and there we go. You got to do it. No, we're gonna leave. We leave the second the conversation fills up, and we do a weird redirect.
I'm so confused, Drac.
That was what you wanted. Kane got in. You had the perfect BB, and that's the moment we chose to leave. I wonder if they just don't want to finish with that. I wonder if they're specifically going for a silent game.
Could be. Back in the conversation with the seduction target, it's 67% is where we stand right now. So is, in fact, still in range for the 3 flirt on whites. But we're going to have to make sure we're not at much of a distance on the last one, because we only have 1% to spare. There's the contact coming off. I'm confused, but I mean, I guess it works.
It's not as good as the other one, but it's still pretty good. And the big full conversation there is the one with the real DA. As the sniper can see on Terrace, by the way, for those who don't know. There is no SDA, and the sniper knows who the DA is. But in this case, that's a pretty good number of people who are in for the real.
That might be why he didn't take it last time, because his conversation with the DA in it was the small one.
I guess that might have been it, but they were still pretty evenly distributed. I don't know. I think I would have taken it and then just done another one later to maximize the pool.
There's the flirt getting finished up. No reaction from Yglini as of yet, so you asked how you answer back. This is it.
This is it. And it's really funny to me that those two games are back-to-back because they're totally different games. They feel different emotionally. They hit the sniper different emotionally, but they both count as one, and that's what matters.
Absolutely. Andy now playing from the sniper side with the chance to tie things up at 5 going into the last venue. Yglini trying to push himself onto match point in 3, 2, 1, playing it. Really busy bar to open the game. Seduction Target steps away early and gets low lit for it after Yglini picks up a 51% flirt, though.
Yeah, interesting choice there. I mean, bar highlights, that's just fine, of course, or maybe just assuming somebody here's flirting, but low lighting the person who leaves early, little harder to parse.
Oh, Yglini gets the low lit too for leaving without a drink and the AI path into the conversation. I don't think an AI would actually do that, but let's be honest, spies never do that ever.
Yeah, Andy agrees with you, except, oh, wait, we know they've done it at least once now.
Second flirt, this one white, 85% is where it stands. There's the contact coming off. And as far as Andy is concerned, only 2 possible reels.
Well, you wonder if it would make them reevaluate that low light at least and bump Ponytail back up. I think you have to here, but honestly, if they're not reevaluating that, they're not going to reevaluate you either. And as long as Yglini finishes non too obviously, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, Yglini in an absolutely commanding position right now. There's
do
the
they know
last
it?
flirt coming off. It's another white, but it doesn't matter. Flirt is done. Contact is done. Low light is done. One more mission and a minute and 40 seconds to get it.
And pretty much any Purloin delegate is going to win this game probably at this point.
What I wouldn't give to know what was going through Yglini's head right now.
I mean, there's no indication that they know they're low lit. The move they did wasn't enough, wasn't brazen enough for them to think, okay, I'm trying for a low light here, right? It's not the kind of thing where they can really assume, and they're not behaving as if they have one either. So
Right.
I don't think they suspect it. So it's going to come down to just making sure you finish, and they're clearly trying to pick their spot here, and I guess they've decided this is it.
Yep, into the bar we go. 1 minute to play on the nose. Just picks it straight up.
I think we're trying to frame either Sorry or Seek. I think those are the people on either side of us, but a low light's at the
I
bar,
think
and there's no
so.
reason for Andy to react.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a beautifully
Wow.
played game from Yglini.
I mean, it was nice and clean until the end. I guess, yeah, trying to frame someone, but they didn't have to. If anything, though, unfortunately, an unnecessary fingerprint might have accrued a little more suspicion. But that was just, I'm low lighting for soft reasons and not reevaluating them. That's what it came down to.
That is true. And that puts Yglini on match point. 2 games left on Modern. Andy, starting things off from the spy side, needs both of these to force a draw. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And now that this venue is 4 rather than 5, you really have a lot of options on missions. It's much more viable to complete without finishing inspects, for example.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. Picking up an early flirt at the bar, a close green for 51%. That's a great start from Andy. Stepping away before his turn as well.
Andy says, this is the kind of thing I low-lit for last game. Let's see if Yglini agrees with me. So far, it looks like no.
Yglini highlighting for bar, but didn't neutralite Andy when he stepped away without taking anything.
And last time Andy lost that very difficult sniper game from that rush at the end, they came back and played a very clean, simple spy game to answer. They just lost a tough one for that low light now on Terrace, and their back's against the wall. Can they respond the same way?
It's a 2 flirt in the front conversation, so Seduction already done.
And that really opens things up, because now you've got 3 minutes to find 3 missions, and you're in a big, full party of people.
Two minutes and 50 seconds now. Clock is ticking, and Andy's not moving much.
And that conversation with the real double agent is filling up just a little bit. 2 more people in it. We might want to head over and get something done. Looks like no.
Nope. Neutralette as the delegate timer would run out, but back into bar he goes. This time, leaning into the 50-50 in a big way. Takes the purloin straight up. I don't like this play.
I mean, they'd already decayed a lot of those highlights, but they might have thought, well, did the spy sneak it in just under the wire? Now they're going to try to remember, I guess, which 4 or 5 people were at bar. If I recall, Seek was there, for example. I think Ponytail might have been as well. No, not Ponytail's cast this game. I'm trying to remember myself. Do you remember the other 3 or 4? And the question is, does the sniper remember them, yeah? Or are they confident in the timing? Are they confident in the timing?
Only one highlight right now, and it's Andy, so that is not a good sign.
Right, so there's 2 ways to look at this, right? This could be the only person they're sure, because they're the last actual list taker, they're the only person they're sure could be involved, but there's got to be a part of them that goes, was my timing a little off when I bumped those back down?
This is very true. Minute and 30 left to play. The shot comes off!
Yep, I think that's what it was. I think they're thinking, you know what? I think they might have gotten it in under the wire, because the direct doesn't make as much sense there so late after the bar rush. So who was there? Who was there? And they're not at all confident. I'm going to go back and check, and no, Duke was not there. It was Kane, Sari, Walt, and the spy. That was the bar rush.
My, oh my, it works out for Andy. And that puts us in the last game of the set. It's going to be Andy on the sniper side, Yglini on the spy. Andy with a chance to tie things up, Yglini with a chance to win it outright. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Both snipers have been more disciplined tonight than they were most of last season, but Civ shots still could be what turn it, as you saw right there.
Absolutely, it could be. A slow start from Yglini, hanging out in the conversation with not much to do. But as their partner steps away, left alone in the conversation, has to make a move and goes to the blue bookcase.
And bar highlights coming out again, and that's a wise choice because, again, Yglini likes Purloin. And why not? It's pretty powerful on this venue.
It is indeed. Pretty long visit to the bookcase here. Goes for the animation transfer. Hits a green test on it, so it's very hard to see. Leopard has a pretty darn good animation transfer too, and Andy doesn't catch a whiff of it.
Yeah, it sounds weird to say someone in a leopard print jacket can be hard to see doing anything, but yes, one of the better microfilm animation transfers. And by the way, having gotten that done already at blue, really good, because if you go to green, that full conversation in front of it, when there's enough people in it, can give you a lot of occlusion. So the quote-unquote hard part might already be done.
Bit of a slow start, though still stepping into the green bookcase now next to the seduction target, is able to get 34% on the flirt before stepping in, but that conversation is filled all the way up, and Andy's not in a good position to catch it. It is a white test on the transfer, but did not get a look at the head turn. So that's going to be the transfer done. The problem is it took us until 2:30 left to play.
It was visible, and it was actually really dangerous because the ambassador was walking by that conversation, which means Andy honestly had every reason to zoom in and see that head turn, but I've noticed Andy in general has not liked zooming in on Sniper, and it's cost them a couple times, most notably right there.
Into statues we go. Yglini picking up a pair of inspects. 2 minutes left to play. It's going to be I thought it was going to be another trip to the seduction target, but it looks like we're going to detour off to the double agent first.
I mean, either's good, but I would probably be prioritizing seduce here until you get that second one at least.
As would I. Waiting until people land in conversations a little bit. That conversation with the SDA is very full. Other SDA is out entirely. Low lights start coming off.
Yeah, a little mini bar rush got knocked out too, and we're assuming real
Low
again.
lighting for real.
Wow. Big assumption, but it's correct as it turns out.
It is indeed minute and 15 left to play. We need 2 more flirts and a statue visit to bring this home. Oh, this is a distant. Going all in on getting at least one of these 2 green tests. It's not that one. 55 is where we stand right now. 1 minute on the clock.
And now you can't plan around the last flirt anymore because it's an action test potentially for the win, even if and when you find that other mission. And what's it going to be? Inspects? You got 50 seconds left, and the party is very narrowed down because of Andy's decision to assume real.
Here goes Yglini heading to those statues in the back, I'm pretty sure.
Another desperate swap? Is it going to happen again? When plans fall apart, is it a swap as a last resort again?
Let's find out.
We're being stared at.
Zoomed right on in there. I don't think he's going to get away with it if he tries.
No, you got to go flirt.
Has happened. Putting it down.
And if the green test doesn't hit, the amba's nearby because the queen just left, they're not going to get knocked. That's your backup plan. Go right between them.
Right between them.
No!
It's got to be the bug. Oh, he had a moment where the angle was perfect, but Andy repositions.
It takes! It takes!
He was moving across. He didn't see it, and somehow Yglini gets a gift at the end of the match, and that gift is worth a point in the SCL.
Yglini did it exactly right. The way you would do it if you could pause time and think about it for an hour and strategize. You'd say, I'm going to go right between these 2 people. I'm going to try to flirt, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to bug instead. They do it exactly right. The ST leaves exactly then, and not only do we time that bug perfectly for the ambassador leaving, which we do, it barely took, but we do it at 9.5 seconds, so there's no actual overtime beeps. The ambassador was plan B. B stood for bug. Yglini wins outright.
Here's the thing. When we first came into that conversation, Andy was in the worst possible position to catch the bug.
Mm-hmm.
Swings away, so he has a perfect view of the arm, and just as the bug starts, swings back so a low light in the name of Alice covers it for just that moment.
That's all it is sometimes, a game of microseconds. The whole match turned on that little twitch of the sniper's camera.